Welcome into another edition of the IdahoSports.com Prepcast. This is the off-season edition as we are into the dog days of summer. Brandon Baney here with Paul Kingsbury, the managing editor here at IdahoSports.com. It's the off-season, but we're as busy as ever, right?
And that's the way it works. People come up and say, hey, you must be, taking breaks, and this is the slow time. And it is. It's a different kind of slow, and it's a different kind of busy. We're not traveling all over the state right now. Well, you are. I guess next week you're going to Twin Falls. But, it's a lot of getting ready for next year. You're getting the site moved over. We've got 2/3 or so of the football schedules in. So it's a different kind of busy, but there is a little more downtime, right? We can kind of relax a little bit. The deadlines aren't quite as important. So, yeah, it's definitely a slower time of year, but we try and keep busy.
Business casual attire. If you're watching this on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel or social media, Paul, describe to our audience what you're wearing. Business casual attire.
This is my America shirt that I just got, and my Mountain Dew hat, and I'm actually wearing shorts today because I knew I was going to be doing the show with you, so I kind of dressed up a little bit. But you say business casual, and I'm like, I dressed up for this. I kind of feel a little offended saying this is business casual when I'm actually dressed up right now.
It's business formal. For Paul.
Okay, I can go with that. Yeah.
So we thought this would be a great time to come on as we're kind of closing the book on the 2020-21 school year, getting ready for the 2021-22 school year. And a good time to let everybody know what exactly we did at IdahoSports.com, because it was a year unlike any other, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic.
It really was. And it was a year unlike any other on different levels. I mean, COVID obviously is the top of that pyramid. Everything trickled down from there. But with us, it was different, in a few different ways. But with COVID, it was hard for us, and I understand that it was hard in a million different ways for everybody, but for us specifically, it was difficult not knowing when games were going to be week to week. In years past, if a team had to cancel a game because of, we saw in the 8-man ranks sometimes where they had injuries or academic issues where they just didn't have enough kids to play, and so they had to cancel a game, and it was kind of a big deal. It was like, oh, they had to cancel a game, and that was it. You usually didn't try and make it up. Some schools schedule bye weeks. Most schools don't. This year, however, it could be Thursday and the call comes in and says, hey, we got half the team quarantined, can't play. Okay. Other AD gets on the phone and says, hey, team C, do you want to play? And they're scheduling another game, 24, 36 hours before their other game was supposed to play. That's never happened. I mean, that just doesn't happen. And this year it was a Wild West out there. And so we're trying to keep schedules updated and scores in and figuring out when different games were. That was the hardest part for us was the schedules and scores, which, flow right into rankings and the power rankings at that point. And so everything it kept us on our toes instead of just putting in the schedules and knowing that 99% of those schedules were going to be intact. They got blown up. But the flip side of that, and the very, very bright, shiny silver lining, is that we played sports this fall. There was the majority of states didn't play sports. And a lot of those border towns, North Idaho, East Idaho, that play, Montana schools or Washington schools, Oregon schools, they didn't. They couldn't play. Washington didn't start playing their football until I think February-ish, somewhere in there. So Idaho was very lucky, and I think a lot of people took it for granted once it started. Everybody was very, let's let them play, let's go. And once we got what we wanted, we kind of took it for granted almost, and found other things to complain about. I found, when parents were, we got to let them play, and then it was restricted attendance. Then it was, what do you mean I can't be there? Then it was huge uproars over that. Well, I thought that you just wanted them to play. I get that a parent wants to be there. I'm a sports parent, but they're playing. That's the important thing. And so things shifted a little bit. It was interesting from our perspective because we don't have a dog in these fights. We're kind of hovering above the situation, looking down inside the box, and so we can kind of see a different perspective. And it was interesting to see that dynamic of, we're not sure we're going to be able to play. We are playing. As soon as we get back, especially in the gyms, people started railing on the officials more than they ever had. And I talked to a buddy of mine that's an official, and he said it was worse with the limited attendance because the jerks that yell at the officials were still there. They were just louder, and you could pick them out in the crowd. It wasn't like there was 1,000 people in the gym and there's a couple voices. Those couple voices were one of the 30 people in the gym. And he said it was actually worse with restricted attendance than no attendance as far as officials, because they're getting blasted still. Instead of just being happy that your kids are playing and that you're watching, still got to yell at those officials. And that's just kind of a pet peeve of mine is, just back off the officials. They're doing it. But all these different things with this school year, COVID on down, changes constantly. We're working with athletic directors who are pulling their hair out, going gray. What they went through is just, unimaginable, the things they had to deal with. They were schedulers, they were counselors, they were epidemiologists, they were everything, trying to figure things out week to week. And they didn't get a hazard pay, or they didn't get an increased bonus out of it. They just had to do their job. So, hats off to those guys, coaches as well. Everybody had to rearrange how they do things. The status quo changed. And so, now that we have that year over with, and really, I go days now without even thinking about COVID. It's fantastic, without even remembering it. And so moving into this new school year, I really think we're going to have a serious back to normalcy. And I'm looking forward to that, not only from obviously the humanitarian side of being, but from a business side and a personally selfish side of schedules aren't going to change very much. We can focus on other things that's going to make our life a ton easier. Going back to normal.
Yeah. And I think we were able to do a pretty good job of keeping up with all of those last minute schedule changes and the adjustments and things like that. There was a lot of unsung heroes. You talked about the athletic director.
Logan Green here is our SID at the time, and that dude was all over it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And Logan is one of our great broadcasters. He just did the state lacrosse championships as well.
Yeah.
And you'll be hearing more from Logan as we get into the new school year. So let's talk about it. It was a bit of an unusual year for IdahoSports.com. I think I got a lot of feedback from people because they weren't able to go to the games, especially during football and basketball season, like you mentioned, that said, thank you for going and broadcasting, because this is the only way that we were able to watch.
Right. And that's, that's why we've been broadcasting since 04, 05. That was the whole point. I mean, Idaho Sports was the first website to have video streams of high school sports in the country. There were some others doing audio, but we were it, and we've evolved with that, and that was the reason. And when it was never about, hey, I think we can get rich doing this, because if that was the case, we epically failed at that. The point was to get it out to the people that can't be there. So we'd get emails from, military bases all over the world, people out of the country, out of the state, out of the city for work, from sick moms that were literally across the street with their other kids. So that's why we do it. It's to get coverage for the kids, exposure for the school and the team, and for those people that can't be there. And this year, the whys of why we do it, I guess, really stood out more than they have in the past, because the people that could be there were always there. And now when you can't go, to have that backup there, and it's not just us being there. I mean, anybody can be there with a camera and just show the field. The thing that sets us apart is our broadcasters care. We know the towns, we know the kids, we do our homework. We know how to pronounce towns and spell them and do those things. I think that's what people really like and really remember about Idaho Sports is, we're not just showing the field. We're talking about their kids, and we know about their towns. We know about histories of the teams, and I think that's what really sets us apart. And I think when people think Idaho Sports with the broadcasting, that's really what comes to mind. So with a lot of different things moving forward, we would like to do as much as we can and even do more. You and I have spent the last few hours talking about that thing about what schools can we still get into, what broadcasters do we have, trying to get that all organized during the summer so that we hit the ground running come August.
Yeah, and I think once we get that schedule put together, this is gonna be a lot of fun games and a lot of
Yeah.
good matchups that we're gonna be able to bring you in football and
Yep.
also into the winter season as well. So we talked football and basketball, but I think I'm probably a baseball guy at heart. And baseball is all about numbers and
Yeah.
stats. And so a lot of people come to our website, obviously, for the game streams, the live
Yeah.
broadcasts, audio or video, but we also have coaches polls and we have feature articles and the scores and schedules. So we've got a lot of eyeballs
Yeah.
looking at IdahoSports.com.
Yeah.
What do the year-end school number totals tell us?
We looked at that, put them together from basically September through May, and just over 300,000 plus visitors every month is what we averaged, and about 1.6 plus million page views per month is what we averaged during the school year, which is great. People think that the broadcasts are Idaho sports, and really it's about, I don't know, 20% of what we do. It's the tip of our iceberg. It's the duck on top of the water that you see, and then everything else is the feet underneath. And between, like you said, schedule, scores, rosters, all of the coaches polls that we have, power rankings, the editorial content, all photo galleries, all those things we do that make us the statewide leader in high school coverage online is all one. It's a big puzzle with a lot of pieces. And the broadcasting side is kind of what people know us for, but I think we're getting into more homes, so to speak, as people realize that if you want accurate schedules and scores, you're going to come to us. I mean, there's the others out there that people use, but as far as statewide accuracy, you're not going to find anything better than what we do.
And that's because we're plugged into those athletic directors,
Yeah.
those coaches. And that takes, that's not something that happens overnight. It takes
Yeah.
a long time. And that's something that you, when you started IdahoSports.com, you've done a very good job of cultivating those relationships. You've made it very easy for a guy like myself to come in and just go, oh, yeah, IdahoSports.com. Yeah, of course. And so you've made it very easy for myself. So I'm pretty new, Paul. I came on in like middle of February, right around the time of girls state basketball. I kind of jumped right in, and there's been the older established employees at IdahoSports.com, but we've also had a lot of new blood injected over the past school year as well.
Yeah, that was one of the hard things that I mentioned before that we went through as a business. Is we hired a new sales manager in June, and then she moved out of state in end of October, somewhere in there, and it's kind of unexpected out of the blue. So we hired Catherine Gowans as our sales manager. She came in right when we were getting into state football, and so there's really no time to sit down and train and talk to her and explain things. And she doesn't come in with a real sports background. I mean, she's rodeo and tech, and she came into this. It was okay. You're going to do sales, and here we go. And she's done a fantastic job of learning, not just the job and how we do things, but why we do it, who we're serving, where towns are, which is always a big thing. I don't see the town of Valley anywhere. Well, it's in Hazleton. Those are things that you don't come in inherently knowing. And so she's done a great job of that. So we had a change in sales manager after the start of the year, which with Idaho Sports, we run on advertising sales. I mean, that's how we function. And then Brandon Hill, who's been with us for a couple of years, took another job at BSU right before state girls basketball. And so that was right in bad timing, so to speak. And so you came on right then and took the reins, and it was fantastic because you took those reins. And when that happens, I kind of always need to be in the driver's seat with them, holding the reins, and you just took it and ran, and you did a great job, and you saved us through basketball and the spring sports. And we were talking this morning. I said, once you get a year into this job, everything becomes so much easier. You learn the flow, the timelines, the schools, the relationships that you mentioned. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time. I'm old, and so almost 25 years of Idaho sports. Next year, I think, is our 25th anniversary. So a quarter of a century of making relationships goes a long way when you get to this point where you can just make a call and say, hey, Bob, it's Paul, and we do that. So that's another advantage we have. It's just we've been around a while. That longevity has really helped keep us and made us kind of what we are now.
I still contend that you hired me simply because you're lazy and didn't want to create a new email address. So I basically just took over Brandon Hill's email account, Brandon at
That's true.
IdahoSports.com.
I was worried that you actually figured out that I'm just lazy. I'm glad you clarified it and cut it down to just email addresses. Yeah, I'll go with that. It was just the email address. You bet.
Right.
You've taken so much off my plate that I can't even remember what it was like before you came along. And one of your stated goals was making my life easier, which is fantastic. So hopefully you don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon, because we're very lucky to have you.
That's right. Yep. I'm here for the long haul. Absolutely.
All right.
So speaking of things that are here for the long haul, IdahoSports.com was able to renew its contract when it comes to IHSAA championship events.
That's right. That is right. We had the exclusive video broadcasting rights for about 15 years until 2016, and then that contract went to the NFHS network instead of us. And that summer, we actually negotiated a contract with the IHSA for the audio streaming rights for state tournaments. That 5-year contract ended 2 weeks ago. Technically, it went for 5 years, and this was the end of the 5 years. It's hard to believe it's been 5 years since that happened, but we're here. And so it took about a year, with COVID, everything else. It took about a year and a half to negotiate and get through all the channels and whatnot. But we were able to renew that 5-year contract with the IHSAA. Very excited about that. So we've got those audio streaming rights for state tournaments for the next at least 5 years. Hopefully we keep going with that. So starting now, you're not getting rid of us. Another 5 years plus regular season. We still have the option of doing video when the NFHS network doesn't do state football or state basketball stuff. So, like I said, we're not going anywhere. What we do is what we do, and we like to think that we do it best. And so whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's online content, we try and do the best we can and to reach as many people as we can.
Yeah, so we do audio only for the state basketball tournaments. And on a personal note, I did the 2A boys state basketball tournament this past winter or spring, I guess. And that was the tournament that St. Mary's won. And so I have a personal connection to St. Mary's through my wife and her family. My father-in-law grew up in St. Mary's, graduated in the late 70s from St. Mary's High. And so basically my in-laws were all listening to all of the St. Mary's and really the whole tournament, because as we started to talk about the other teams that were there, they were like, oh, well, I don't want to listen to just St. Mary's. I want to see what Ambrose is about. I want to see what these other schools. So I think that it almost spreads and it's contagious when you have a good broadcast team, which we have across the board, and you have a good product, whether it's audio or video, they're going to keep coming back. And I think that's one thing that we do really well.
That's what we try to do, definitely. And it goes back to those relationships we talked about, where connections and relationships. That's one thing we have where, Scott Burton and I were doing 4A baseball, and, we've got those teams coming in, Bonneville and BK and Twin Falls, Canyon Ridge, Ridgeview, those 4A teams coming in, and we could talk about each one of those teams, each one of those schools, and talk about more than just what was going on the diamond that day. We could talk about, different things with basketball, or, Ted Reynolds, the athletic director at Ridgeview, came and sat down right in front of the open window of the press box. And I've known Ted since he was the athletic director at Bonners Ferry. And so, said hi to him, and then he was at Twin Falls forever. And then now he's at Middleton, and Ridgeview. And so, those things, when you get old, it's a huge benefit, experiences and just knowing people, and Idaho sports is just kind of people that are interested in high school sports have gravitated to Idaho sports. And that's been a huge help over the years with broadcasters and writers and people helping with the website. They just want to stay involved, and this is the best way to do it. And along the way, hopefully we've been able to provide a pretty good service that people have enjoyed having.
Yes. And one new wrinkle I'm sure fans have noticed is as we got into the spring sports season in particular, you started seeing our faces a lot more, probably more than they're used to. And
Bad, I don't know.
Right. I think once we got over the initial shock of, oh man, that's really what I look like on camera, I think it's actually worked out really well. That's one thing we're going to do as we get through the summer and into the new school year, is we want to expand the podcasts that we're doing, the video that the video content we're providing,
Right.
whether it's on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. A lot of times broadcasters can be just sort of this anonymous figure. You hear this mysterious voice, but you can't put a face to it. When I went to the 1A state baseball tournament in Orofino to cover it, Alan Hutchins, the athletic director and football coach at Clearwater Valley, ran the tournament. He was the manager, and I'd never met him before. And I came up and introduced myself. He said, "Oh yeah, I recognize you from all the videos." And I said, "Okay, that's, I guess." Yeah. But that you're going to see more of that moving forward. And it's not just you and I, Paul. We're going to branch out, and we're going to basically give each region, each district its own identity, its own prepcast, its own expert that really knows those teams inside and out. It's going to be basically an extension of what we bring to our game streams and our broadcasts.
Oh, and that's exactly right. You know, we went through a lot of evolutions here at Idaho Sports, and early days, it was, you know, and limited by technology, but it was schedule scores. And then we added photo galleries along the way. And then we added, you know, power rankings, and then we added broadcasts, and it's expanded from there. And a few years ago, we kind of dipped our toes into more editorial content. And with you coming on board, one thing we're most excited about having you is your experience in, you know, you have a very vast background in radio. And so as not just a game broadcaster, but an overall broadcaster, comfortable behind the mic, knowledgeable about those sort of things, where you can take those prep casts that we call them, our Idaho Sports podcast, and run with them. And that's what you've done. You know, Wayne DeZubak took over the prep cast last spring. Wayne DeZubak, you know, longtime media figurehead here in Idaho and other parts of the country. And so he's still going to be involved doing 5A, 4A stuff here in the Treasure Valley. And you've got the list there. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it'd be great if we could kind of preview a little bit about what those prep casts are and kind of what we're looking at to doing this fall.
Yeah, so each week we are going to bring you a regionalized prepcast, as we said. So our North Idaho prepcast, it'll cover the teams in District 1, your Coeur d'Alenes, your Post Falls, Sandpoint, Lakeside, all of those teams up north. And that's going to be with Ryan Skaggs, who's an established broadcaster. He's lived up in Coeur d'Alene for several years now. He broadcast some of the girls' state basketball tournaments for us this past winter, and he's coached at Lakeland in the past, so he knows North Idaho in and out. And that's what we want to bring in each of these prepcasts, is an insider, somebody who really knows the teams and is going to tell you, you know, you can sort through all the clutter and really get down to what the hot stories are, what the hot topics are. So Ryan Skaggs up north is going to be our North Idaho prepcaster. You know, we're going to have our prepcast on the Palouse, right? Our District 2 prepcast with our great broadcast team, Garrison Hardy and Jason Hansen. And they both know, I mean, they've got strong ties to Genesee and Moscow and Lewiston, and they know that inside and out. The Treasure Valley, our Treasure Valley prepcast. Treasure Valley, by far, District 3 is the largest district. There's so many schools that encompass it. So we're going to split it up. We're going to give you the big schools, the SIC, inside the SIC with Wayne DeZubak, those 5A and 4A schools. And then we're going to also make sure that the 3A, 2A, 1A schools get their fair exposure. And that's going to be with Logan Green, who is a great broadcaster based in Middleton for us. Our Magic Valley prepcast, you know, Scott Burton is currently the athletic director at Jerome. He's been there for years and years and years, knows the Magic Valley up and down, inside and out. District 5, our Southeast Idaho prepcast. That's where I live. I'm based in Pocatello. I've done sports on the radio in Pocatello for several years, as has Scott Gross. That's a name that Pocatello residents will know immediately. And I think between the two of us, we're going to be able to really give you what's going on in District 5.
I got goosebumps just thinking that we have Scott Gross, you know, we're working with us now.
Right. We're yes, it's going to be exciting. Yes, Scott is a fantastic broadcaster as well. And then we're going to have our East Idaho prepcast with Lance Taylor, who lives in Sugar Salem, you know, Sugar City. And he's been there for such a long time and really knows that District 6 inside and out. So that's just weekly. So fans, I know there's a perception that, you know, we play favorites and, oh yeah, we're all about those Boise schools, or, oh, it's all about Pocatello. Well, this is your chance now. We're going to diversify. We're going to spread out and make sure that your area, your district, your region gets the love and attention that it deserves. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, it is. And I laugh every year, and it happens multiple times a year. I just have to laugh because I'll get emails that say, you guys should just call yourselves IdahoSports.com. And then someone else, you should call yourself IdahoSports.com. And then someone else, you should call yourself North Idaho Sports. Okay, that means we're doing our job. When we're getting a bunch of different ones, that means we're doing okay. And we do try and cover everybody. Along those prep casts, one thing we talked about this morning was doing an Idaho 8-man prep cast as well. Will Henneke always involved in the small school stuff. And I'll kind of come in and as the lefty reliever when I need to for Will on those weeks. And so everybody's going to be covered. And we're going to do, and it's, people that play, soccer and volleyball, or they've already clicked off this by now, but we're not just covering football. I mean, we're going to have, fall soccer preview, a volleyball preview. We've got schedules and scores for those sports, action photos. So, we like to cover everybody as much as we can. It's just not always talking about football, but these prep casts are going to cover a lot of those other sports as well, cross country included.
Yeah, whatever the big stories are for that week, you can feel confident that you can check in for 20 to 30 minutes a week and be pretty well apprised of what's going on in your area, what the big stories are in terms of athletics. And then you mentioned it, Paul, we're in addition to our weekly regionalized prep casts, we're gonna have one-offs. We're gonna have specialty types of podcasts, like our 8-man prep cast, where we're diving into those small schools, giving them the love and attention that they deserve. We debuted one of our new prep casts last month, From the Sidelines, with Scott Stewart, where he's going to really dive in and explore those stories about, athletes that have had to overcome hard adversity and challenges, but also talking to not just the star quarterback, but his parents. What do his parents have to do to bring their athlete through and help him develop? And also, we're going to talk to not just the coach, but the coach's wife. What's it like, or the coach's husband? What's it like to be the spouse of a coach, where they're so involved with their team? It can be hard on a spouse to take care of the family when your partner is off coaching. So we're going to explore those types of human level type of stories.
Right. And I'm really looking forward to those. The coach's spouse. Nobody ever talks to them. It's like they have a life outside of the school. No, that's not real, is it? And so being able to talk to them, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun getting into that, different coaches coming on and doing some prep casts. It's going to be a lot of fun putting these together.
Yeah. And then you mentioned with coaches, we're going to have a couple of coach focused prep casts as well, where it is 2 football coaches talking X's and O's. We've got Travis Hobson, the former football coach at Century High and Shelley High School, won multiple state championships. He's now the athletic director at Thunder Ridge, and he's going to be talking to football coaches every week, giving you really this is for the really hardcore, like X's and O's type fans that just love football. And we're going to do the same with basketball as well. We're going to bring you a basketball coaches prep cast, where it's 2 basketball coaches talking hoops, talking about concepts, the latest trends in the game, because basketball especially is a game that is continually evolving. So we're going to bring those to you. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of options, and it's going to seem overwhelming at first, but it's going to be nice once we're settled in, and we're planning on at the beginning of August launching all of these new prep casts. So again, iTunes, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts at, just search for Idaho Sports Prepcast. It'll be there for you. And if you subscribe and download it, then you'll be set every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of all of that new video content, we're going to kind of rework some of our editorial content and include more, weekly picks from some guys that know what they're doing in different sports, and do some, here's the best wide receivers in the state, and get more entertainment based editorial content than we have in the past. And I'm looking forward to that a lot. So those fans that tend to come once a week, I go to Idaho Sports on Friday to see what the games are, see what the scores were, you're going to miss out. You really need to be coming every day, because we're going to be putting up some of this new, fresh content every day. And so we're hoping that'll really draw those visitors coming back every day, multiple times a day, to see what they've missed. I mean, we're going to have so much content. We have to be putting it up on a daily basis. So it's we're gonna up our game quite a bit, kick it up a notch starting this fall.
Yes, there will be that is our promise to you. Monday through Friday, there will be something new for you to see at IdahoSports.com each and every weekday.
Yep.
So even if you're just checking in at the start of your day, there's going to be something new for you. That is a guarantee that I personally will make as the sports information director. There will always be something new at IdahoSports.com Monday through Friday. And like you said, we want to branch out more into the giving our opinions on things because people love telling us when we're wrong.
And we're wrong a lot. So we make other people look really smart, and that's what people like, what they really like about us.
Yeah. And I mean, it's no surprise that generally our most viewed content on our website, a lot of times are the coaches polls or the weekly polls that come out that are ranking the teams. I mean, it's so fascinating to see all the fans get fired up and say, nobody respects our team. We're ranked 4th and we should be 1. And I love it. I want more of that interaction with the sports fans in Idaho.
Oh yeah. And it's funny, but the teams that are in that top 5, it's, hey, we're ranked in the top 5. And if you're not, it's like, well, they're those polls don't matter. Those polls don't matter anyway, until they crack the top 5. And it's like, yeah, we're ranked in the top 5. And that's the way it is. I remember being in high school and the media poll would come out in the Statesman, I think every Tuesday or Thursday. And so we were always, waiting to get that newspaper in our hands to see what those media polls are. And now, oddly enough, I vote in those polls, and we like to have that content. We have those relationships with other media outlets where, it's not dog eat dog like it used to be. It's, hey, let's all share resources and talk to each other and work together to bring out, the best coverage we can for these kids here in the state of Idaho. And I love it. I love the relationships we have with other media outlets around the state. We're going to do a little bit more to kind of coalesce more with them, to do some more things with media. We've even talked about having maybe a prepcast once in a while, kind of a media roundtable, and talk about some things maybe a little more controversial, like shot clocks or different things, classification alignments, some things that experts at the media level can really kind of weigh in on, and the folks at home can either nod or shake their head or shake their fist, whatever they do, I'm okay with. And so, like I said, keep checking back, especially when we get into July. The football previews are going to be coming out. There's just so much on tap that it's a little bit overwhelming right now, like you said.
Yeah, so that's all stuff that's going to come down the pipe July, August, and then as we really get rolling into the school year. More immediately, though, on the horizon, we do have some big broadcasts coming up this week, and we're also starting to slowly get schedules back from the schools for the 2021-22 school year. So you may notice, hey, my favorite school, their football schedule is up now at IdahoSports.com. So keep checking back in, and as we get schedules, we're uploading them. But also a big event coming up this Saturday on IdahoSports.com, Paul.
Yeah, it's the 2021 All-State football games here in Idaho, the Idaho version. And that's 4 games back-to-back at Canyon Ridge High School, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then the 8-man game at 6 o'clock. So 9, 12, 3, and 6. You and Logan are going to be there. I've got a wedding. Sven, people watching this probably remember Sven Alskog. He's marrying my niece. So I didn't even get a thank you card for that, but we got to go to that. So you guys are heading to Canyon Ridge, cover those games. And you can probably remember, but there's kids that played in those games, Vander Esch and Taysom Hill, that they played in these all-state games back in the day. Then moved on to the NFL. They moved on to be big-time college players. A lot of these kids did. So you're really looking at the stars of tomorrow when you're looking at these Idaho All-State games put on by Matt Williams. It benefits the foster care program. He's a big advocate of that. And so it's an event that's got a good purpose behind it, but it's also really nice to watch some football in mid-June.
Yes, and that, like you said, this is the best of the best. It's going to be it's an all-star game essentially. The best 6th graders from all over the state. Team Idaho versus Team Treasure Valley. So kind of that Boise Metro District 3 area versus everybody else. Then it's going to be 7th grade all-stars, 8th grade all-stars, and then I think the most exciting one is going to be the 8-man all-star game to wrap it up. These are all seniors who have just graduated that have just dominated the 8-man field for the past 4 years, and it's one last chance for a lot of these kids, one last chance to play football.
And that's exactly right. Some of them are moving on, most don't. And so once they get done with that game, they take off the pads, take off the helmet, and that might be the last time ever. And these are kids that we've been covering, a lot of them for 4 years. I mean, you get in those 8-man schools, and they're freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors. And I'm really that's what I guess I'm going to miss the most about this year not being there is that game. It's always fun, kind of the last hoorah for some of those kids that we've known for so long. I mean, we build relationships with these kids as well. And so, getting into it with this and being able to say their names, once more, I really wish I could be there, but you guys are gonna nail it.
Yeah, and also the 8th grade All-Star game will be one to keep an eye on as well, because players you see in that game, you'll see in just a couple months. Riken Echo Hawk was a kid last year that just tore up the 8th grade All-State game, and next thing you know, he's the starting running back as a freshman for Pocatello High, a team that did really well and got to the playoffs. So you never know who the next big star might be.
There's a kid coming up from Lapway, I think. Running Bear might be his name. I think he might have been 7th grade last year. The dude is over 6 foot. The dude is huge. I mean, you get to that 8th grade game and you think you're watching a varsity game. I mean, these kids are varsity sized. And it's funny because sometimes, like Togiai, big kids play in those games, but then you also have the normal sized 8th grader lining up against these kids. And you look down there and go, oh, that poor kid, that poor kid on the line, or, as a defensive back running in from the side. Excuse me, sir, can I tackle you? But it's fun to watch. Like you said, these kids that we're watching now that no one's heard of, we go down the line and go, yep, I remember when.
It's going to be fantastic. And again, that is this Saturday at Canyon Ridge High School in Twin Falls. The 6th grade All-State game will start at 9 a.m. Then you'll have the 7th grade All-State game at noon. The 8th grade All-State game will be at 3, and then that 8-man All-State game will be at 6 o'clock. So plenty of time in between, and we would love to have you come check it out on IdahoSports.com.
Yep.
So to kind of wrap it up, we told you about all this exciting stuff we've got on the horizon. We're going to have more daily content. We're going to have more video and podcasting and prep casting and more broadcasts, audio and video. But the challenge that comes along with that is we got to have a staff. We got to have a staff to accommodate all this growth that we are encompassing as well. And so this is a call to action. If anybody out there is interested in broadcasting, writing, advertising, sales, that could be a very lucrative position, especially if you hit the ground running there. We're looking for it all, Paul.
We are in every area. It's not just we're looking for here. Magic Valley. We really need some guys there. District 5, District 6. Some of our guys are leaving. Alec Pope and his wife, they're moving down to Provo, and so we're losing Alec. And Lauren Jensen over there is going to be moving over this direction, and so we really need to replenish things, and then we need to add on to get more coverage. So you're absolutely right. From broadcasters to camera guys / producers / color guys, we really need you. Writers are always hugely beneficial. So if you have an interest in being a part of what we do here at Idaho Sports, a part-time basis, do it, in your spare time and see where things go. Let us know, editor@IdahoSports.com, shoot an email. Let us know what you're interested in doing. Maybe, throw a resume in there and experience, or just why you think that that you should be the man for the job or woman from the job. We don't discriminate on that, right? I don't. You might. I'm not sure.
No, certainly
okay.
not.
All right. No, we don't. I mean, come one, come all. We'd love to have you. We're talking to a couple of high school kids right now about coming on board with some of this stuff. So, high school aged all the way through. We'd love to have you. So editor@IdahoSports.com.
Yep, that'll get you to Paul. You can send it to Brandon at IdahoSports.com as well. That's my email address, BRANDON at IdahoSports.com. And if anybody out there is interested in doing some sales to maybe supplement income that you're already, or maybe you're a stay-at-home parent and you're looking for just a little bit of extra spending money, you can email Catherine at IdahoSports.com, our sales manager, Catherine, and that is CATHERINE at IdahoSports.com. Yeah. Yep. So, well, Paul, we're at about 40 minutes. It's a little longer than I like to go. About 30 is about we're like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. We broke through the glass ceiling.
We did. And once you get me talking, it's hard to get me to stop. So I apologize for that.
No, that's totally fine. So yeah, we've got a lot of exciting content. You'll want to keep checking back to IdahoSports.com as we get more schedules in, and we get into July. We'll start unveiling previews. In August is when we'll hit the ground running with all of our new video and prepcast content. Until then, I'll still be here every week giving you a new prepcast where we're going to interview different athletic directors, maybe some new coaches, some new faces and new places, and see how that's going. But we'll have something for you every week until we get to August, and then we'll really branch out and diversify. But it's going to be exciting. I'm super stoked.
It is. One thing, and I'm not going to diatribe on this. One thing I did forget, I am going to be launching a prepcast as well. Based on those 20 years of being around, I've made a lot of friendships in the school circuit. And so I'm going to kind of produce a friend of the program prepcast where I bring on someone that we've known for a very long time. That's an athletic director, a coach, a sports official, an IHSA official, people that we've known a long time that we always joke about. Yeah, they're a friend of the program. And we thought, well, why don't we make a prepcast out of that and talk to them? It's going to be kind of a jaunt down memory lane. But so if you've known me for a while, kind of expect a call from me or an email saying, hey, we'd love to have you on. So we'll be debuting that this fall as well. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yes, that's going to be fantastic. Each week or a couple of weeks, Paul's going to be sitting down with a friend of the program, and this is where you're going to get those really good insider stories. You're going to get the good stuff there, right?
Hopefully they open up enough to do that. Yeah. We'll tell them it's all off the record, and then we're just going to post it anyway.
Well, so did you see sorry, not to split off onto a tangent here, but I have to ask.
Yeah.
Have you been following any of the Julio Jones stuff in the NFL, star receiver for the Falcons?
Is that the Julio down at the schoolyard? No.
Right. Well, one of his nicknames.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So he got traded to the Tennessee Titans. He's 33 years old, kind of a disgruntled wide receiver, probably a Hall of Famer at some point. Well, for months there had been rumors that, oh yeah, he wants a trade. You know how it is with an athlete. Oh yeah, we're hearing that he wants a trade out of Atlanta. So Shannon Sharp hosts a show on Fox FS1 every morning, and he called Julio Jones live on the show and said, Julio, what's going on, man? And he goes, yeah, I'm out. And but it was a big thing. Julio didn't know that he was live on the air. He thought Shannon Sharp was just calling him in a personal capacity. So that blew up. And
oh no. No. Yeah, that's terrible. I won't do that. I don't think any of us here would do that.
No. We are very anti-Shannon Sharp on this program.
Yes, that's rough. Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, sorry not to go off on a tangent, but this is, if you ever wonder what it's like to work at IdahoSports.com, you're looking at it.
Yeah. This is really it. Yeah.
Paul and I basically banter all day and get off on tangents and subjects. And eventually we circle back to what it is we're supposed to be doing. But
we started this conversation at 10 o'clock and it is now 1 o'clock. And I'm supposed to be going to a matinee movie with my son who's on leave from the Army in about 10 minutes. And my wife is, nudging me to get off. So I think time to wrap it up.
a good excuse as any. Paul Kingsbury, managing editor at IdahoSports.com. We're super excited for what we've accomplished in the past year, but everything else that's coming up as well. Thank you for listening to or watching this week's edition of the IdahoSports.com Prepcast. I'm Brandon Bainey. We'll see you back here next week. And don't forget, keep checking back to IdahoSports.com for all sorts of new content through the summer, and especially once the new school year starts.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for everyone out there. All Idaho sports fans, we do it for you. If you ever have suggestions, let us know. Comments, derogatory or otherwise, we got thick skins. We'll take it. So thank you for being fans of the website for so long. We appreciate it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching / listening, and see you next time. Bye.